Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to the Daily Muslim. Just about maybe an hour ago, Donald Trump was shot at by an assailant at his rally. And let's take a look at what happened here.
Something that said, take a look at what happened.
So you could see that, according to what happened on screen, it grazed his ear, and he goes and grabs his ear, and then realizes, oh shoot, maybe I should get on the floor. He gets on the floor, his security jump in, and then a few moments later, let's see what happens. He gets up to throw his fist in the air as the showman that he is. So let's get this off the screen. Orlando, what do you think happened down there?
I think people don't realize how close to a civil war we got tonight. Like we were 1 inch away from total pandemonium erupting in the United States. If that shooter was 1 inch off of his bullet, people would have been revolting, and we would have had a different state in the country within 3 hours. This is a very, very scary situation. I don't think people realize how close we got. We would have had individuals come up, martial law would have been declared, rioters would have been destroying the streets, and then you would have your firearm carriers, your veterans marching towards the government, and there would have been pandemonium. So we have to thank God that this president, or the would-be president, did not get shot today.
All right. Do you think that it was a legitimate shooter who attacked him, or do you think that there's a possibility it was staged?
This is an interesting thing. What do we mean by a legitimate shooter? Are we saying that this has to be a staged event, that they killed 2 people just to, increase the poll numbers for Donald Trump? I don't think so. This is probably what some of the dissidents and some of the really far left-leaning individuals are going to claim. Oh, staged. He did this to gain the, get more poll numbers. He was winning in the polls regardless. This did not need to happen. As a matter of fact, he got grazed by the bullet. The bullet was very close to hitting him and causing serious permanent injury. This is not something you could stage. He was very close to dying tonight. And I think crooked Joe Biden is just sitting in his chair right now at home, drinking a hot cup of cocoa, crying because he knows now that Donald Trump is healthy and well, there's no way that Joe Biden is going to win tonight. And he knows it.
I see. So who do you think took these shots at him, and why?
Apparently, it was an Antifa member that they found in the crowd. I'm seeing initial reports that it was an Antifa member. It was this, he apparently posted in like a manifesto of some sort on YouTube, claiming that he's going to do something big later on in the day. They got him, they shot him and killed him, the Secret Service, right on scene after he fired those bullets. But once again, we need to wait until these claims are verified. Regardless, this is painting a bigger picture of like the radicalization of the West. And we're seeing the West become radicalized further and further. Now, this is not the Middle East where leaders rise and fall, they get killed, coups happen, and they get ousted. This is the United States of America. This is the most stable, for all intents and purposes, the most stable and most peaceful country internally in the world, right? Regardless of how good or bad they are, this is what it is. So if a president gets killed, this has international, side effects, right? So the whole world is affected. Now, we could have someone in Afghanistan, the leader of Afghanistan, die, and no one bats an eye, leader of Syria, North Korean, all these guys, it does not matter. The moment a U.S. president dies in this manner, all hell breaks loose. And this is a big, big event. I'm not sure what's going to happen after this. I just hope and pray that there's some stability in the country.
I see. Inshallah. And things have been very rocky for the last few years, especially this last year. There's been a huge divide. There has been sayings that Texans are taking up arms and preparing for a civil war that they believe is very possible to happen, and they're very prepared, it seems like, to stand up for what they believe in and bear arms themselves. Whereas the other side, the left side, might not actually be pro guns. So it would kind of be a one-sided battle, perhaps.
They say that. the moment shit hits the fan, all these, left-leaning dons, all these cabal pagan liberals are going to be pro-gun. They're going to go like, we need to arm our cops, we need to arm the security so that the right-wing extremists don't overthrow the government. When shit hits the fan, everyone is pro-gun. You understand? Because you need a
Yeah,
gun to defend yourself. But
absolutely.
everyone needs to. We're on the precipice right now of like something something happening that'll cause people to go over the edge. All it takes is a small little incidents for these Texans, as you said, or other, let's say Republicans in red states to come and just carry openly arms and rebel against tyranny in the state and perhaps even overthrow the government. God forbid this happens, because this is going to lead to a lot of death.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this is exactly how America was formed. The United States got together and they rebelled to become their own nation, to become their own United States of America, their own nation within their own right. So their whole revolution is it's a part of who they are as people. It's a part of being American. Taking up arms and standing up for what you believe, and that's why they're allowed to bear arms. It was actually a part of the Constitution in case they need to rebel against the government and do what they did to make America a nation on its own.
Yeah. There's also conspiracy theories about the fact that this is, as you said, something staged and planned, not necessarily in order to, like, increase poll numbers for Donald Trump, but rather to create chaos in the nation, right?
Yeah.
To create chaos and then eventually establish a one world government. Conspiracy theorists have been talking about martial law for the longest time, that the state will turn its own soldiers against the people and enact tyranny to control everybody. We could
Yeah.
see something like this happening overnight.
Yeah, yeah, and things like this are very common. I mean, if you look at America as a nation, there's always been some kind of enemy. So the people on top can get what they want. First, it was the Nazis during World War II, and I'm not saying Nazis were not the enemy. I'm saying that was weaponized even for internal politics within America. People were being put on black books and in blacklists as you're potentially a Nazi. And then it went on to a fight against gangs, and it went on to a fight against terror and all these invasions into the Middle East. So now it seems like it's more of an internal battle that they are fighting. And this, if it was staged, I'm not saying it was or wasn't, we cannot possibly know. And as always with these events, there will be more information that is dropped in the next 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, and we will uncover more and get a better idea. What I will say, however, is if it was, and I'm not saying it was, if it was, it would be the perfect motivation for people who are on the fence to look at Donald Trump as some kind of hero. He stood up amidst all that chaos, put his fist in the air with blood on his face, and you can see in his face that he's declaring war against someone here.
And there's 100% certainty at this point that he's going to get elected. And look at the repercussions of this event. I'd say for the rest of the world, America's just eventually going to become more and more radicalized. We're already seeing it before this, where the white and black divide, whereas like white supremacy is taking a right, it's showing its roots again. We're seeing radicalization in terms of religion. People are becoming more religious rather than less religious. People are becoming divided on topics such as politics in terms of gender identity and LGBTQ. These things are starting to become stronger rather than weaker. A moment of diversity kind of crept its way in the early 2000s in America, but now we're seeing radicalization sprout again. And I think this is going to lead to more militarization in the United States. More people are going to be willing to now rise up and take arms and defend their country. Then identity of the United States is going to reestablish itself, perhaps as a white dominant country. And then we might see something where they're becoming more aggressive in international policy, in international war. This is something I could see happening because the internal conflicts in the United States are going to lead the people towards having this type of belief system.
Actually, I just came across something pretty crazy. On that note, if this was conspired to bring about some kind of chaos, this is at least what Dili Hussein posted. He says, Eyewitnesses tells the BBC that he informed the police and Secret Service about a suspicious man on a roof with a rifle, but he was ignored.
And listen to the rally, right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up and we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing, We're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
A rifle.
We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? You know, like they didn't know what was going on. You know, we're like, hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. You know, he's crawling. And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is Trump still speaking? Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
Wow.
This guy lying.
That's another question that has to be asked.
What type of haircut does this guy have? Excuse my language. You see his haircut?
Yeah, I know. I try not to comment on it, but but I mean, if you look at what's on top of the haircut, you see the Trump hat, which means that he seems to be a Trump supporter. So he's
This
either
is a
someone.
Trump rally, by the way.
Yeah, so he's either a person who it doesn't make sense. If he's a Trump hater disguising as a Trump fan, then why was he at the Trump rally? So he's probably a Trump fan, and if he is, why would he make this up that he could see the shooter crawling up? Because wouldn't he know that makes him look weird?
It could. Listen, I always cast my suspicions towards these things. It could be just a bit for clout. He's the guy who saw the shooter first. Regardless, maybe this is human error. Who knows? I'm not going to call some grand big conspiracy like everyone's in on it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's time for that. I don't think it's actually realistically possible. However, I'm not going to, count my eggs until they hatch. It could be.
I got you.
The cabal pagan executives, remember this, they've been hatching conspiracy theories grander than this since time immemorial. And the guys who run this country are not they do not care. They do not have a side. They do not care whether Donald Trump or Joe Biden wins. All they care about is the Wall of David. All they care about is their little yarmulke hats and some shekels going towards the big state. That's all that matters. Creating global instability so that the shekels be, sent back to you old Israel.
Yeah, and everyone is immediately suspecting that Israel had something to do with it, or AIPAC, or the Mossad, or whoever, all of which are basically one with different names and different tasks. But what do you make of that? Do you think that is reasonable or a reasonable suspicion to have?
No, I actually think it wouldn't make sense because Donald Trump is more pro-Israel, more anti-Palestinian than Joe Biden.
That was my initial thought as well.
Donald Trump has gone on record to say if he was in charge, there would be no Palestine issue. Palestine would be wiped off the map. Donald Trump has himself visited the Wall of David.
Mm-hmm.
He's visited Israel multiple times. He has a good relationship with Israel. Donald Trump's father or grandfather was a Jew. He is a Zionist, a through and through Jewish Zionist. He's a Jewish supremacist, and the Mossad is on his side.
What I will say is he is most definitely harder to navigate than Joe Biden is. Joe Biden is barely awake while the world is at war. And Donald Trump has gone on the record to basically call out Netanyahu for pulling out of a certain operation when they had agreed to it prior. He pulled out basically the night before, the night of. So he spoke about Netanyahu in negative light, and he basically said that this never would have happened because they never would have been invaded. And if Israel wanted something to happen, so they had an excuse to go into Gaza, apparently Donald Trump would have put an end to that, making him kind of a worse president for America in Israel's eyes than Joe Biden.
This is all smoke and mirrors. This is all he said, she said. I look at the facts here, the numbers, because I've heard all these things before. Donald Trump criticizes Benjamin Netanyahu. This is all deal making. Donald Trump is pro-Israel fundamentally. Donald Trump supports the rabbis that control the state of Israel above Benjamin Netanyahu. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump supports the Jewish lobbyist groups. Donald Trump is pro-Jew, more so than Joe Biden, and he's more anti-Palestinian than Joe Biden. In fact, Donald Trump got this award, this big Jewish award, Israeli award that most Jews don't get in their life. I forget which award it was. It's rewarded to people who help and assist in the Jewish cause. He's been nominated as one of the most like foremost guys who have,
Was
provided
it
benefits to
a
the state of
menorah?
Israel. I'm not sure what the name is. I think it's something like that.
Yeah, I see. Jewish organization presents Trump with menorah in appreciation of Abraham Accords.
It was the Abraham Accords. Yes, it was in a relationship to his Abraham Accords. These guys are all bought and paid for. Okay, this is all.
Absolutely.
They're not their own leaders. They don't control the country.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, with that being said, what do you think Muslims should believe about Trump? Should Muslims be pro-Trump, anti-Trump? Do we like Trump, hate Trump, and what's your stance on him?
I think Muslims should be against U.S. imperialism at all costs. No one at that figurehead of the United States of America who is pro-imperialist should be supported by Muslims. Because regardless of what you think a guy is funny or you think a guy is this and that, listen, I think Donald Trump's funny, he's a good entertainer. Fundamentally, he promotes U.S. imperialism, just like Joe Biden does, just like Obama did, just like Hillary Clinton does, just like George Bush did, and all the lists of presidents dating back to like John F. Kennedy. They're all imperialists. We do not support any one of them because their interests lie in the Middle East and they want to exploit it. They want to create a state, like a watchdog state in the state of Israel, and destroy all of us. They hate us. They hate Muslims at the end of the day. And people need to realize these Orthodox Christians, these evangelicals hate Muslims.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's one of the many great upsets of the modern day, where a lot of people want to be pro-Trump because of how heavily they are anti-Joe Biden. And I get it. I hate Biden as well, but that doesn't mean we should exactly like Trump to any extent. And it's sad to see that some Muslims support him outright just because, like you said, they think he's funny, or they think he's a good president, or he's more respectable than Joe Biden because he is willing to put his foot down in certain cases. But what's the point of putting your foot down if it costs the lives of tens of thousands of Muslims across the globe? That's not
Well,
something
you
that
see,
Muslims should respect.
no one's immune to propaganda. Everyone could fall for propaganda. And there's no such individual to say, oh, I could see through the smoke and mirrors and I know it's the truth. No. You guys all fell for the propaganda, right? And you bought into this act, this little charade, just because a presidential candidate is charismatic. We're now engaging in what you call a popularity contest. It does not matter who you like more. These guys are running the goddamn country. They're in control of all economic, all international affairs, all domestic affairs. And it doesn't matter how funny he is, how witty he is, how much he could snap back at a feminist or a reporter. It does not matter, bro. He's killing your people. He's impoverishing your people. He's putting sanctions on your countries. And you're just supporting him because look at the other guy, he's sleepy. They both suck, bro. Don't vote.
So in regards to, just to wrap up this video here, in regards to what might happen next and what might come from this, what are your predictions?
Truth is stranger than fiction. I'd love to see where this goes. All these pundits and political analysts predicting what's going to happen next, you don't know. None of these guys would have predicted that he would have been, attempted assassination. People like to theorize, oh, maybe, dream in their dreamland, but no one would have actually knew this would have happened. So I wonder what's going to happen after this. Andrew Tate said something interesting. He said, they give you 3 chances. First, they try to cancel you. If they can't cancel you, they throw you in jail. If they can't throw you in jail and that doesn't work, then they'll try to kill you. And those 3 strikes, it seems like Donald Trump's on his 3rd. They try to cancel him with some of his allegations. Then they try to throw him in jail with all the charges that he recently came up with, 50 plus charges. And then now they came after his life. So we'll have to see what happens.
All right. And with that being said, since this did literally happen a few hours ago, maybe an hour or 2 at most, there is plenty to come out in the coming hours, in the coming days, inshallah. So we will see where it goes from here. Thank you so much, Orlando, for joining me again, inshallah. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. And do you have any final words or any final sentiment before we end?
Don't vote. Engage in revolution. F all of these losers, these dons that are, standing up. None of them are heroes. None of them are martyrs. They're all evil. We live in the galactic times. All right. What do you call it? The Galactic Empire from Star Wars? This is it. This is America. This is the evil. Don't engage in their democratic politics.
All right. Thank you, Orlando. We'll see you on the next one. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam.